Hello? Hello? Is anybody there? Can you hear me? Is it good? No lag, hopefully. Hey, hi everyone. Welcome back to another stream. I hope you can hear me. I don't know if you can. Hello? Okay, good. You guys can hear me. That is fantastic. Good. Okay. So, this week, we are doing island stuff again. So, yeah, if you are here, this is page turner, guys. So I know last week we had like a little bit of a test stream. We're not doing that again. I'll try to do a Halloween stream where it's similar to what we did last week, but this week we're going back to page turner. So I apologize to those of you who just want a different kind of stream. You want to see page turner? Well, we're kind of developing it, so there's not really too much to see. I mean, Raulunix was kind enough to make a lot of concept art, but we don't have any like episodes or anything. We're still in development, and so that's the fun of it. We get to work on it together. And yeah. Can we talk about what islands they have on Ilaria? Well, that is pretty much what we're doing today, except for sorta. So the plan for today is there was a island document that Ifedexa made quite some time ago now. So we're going to go over that. I really like the format. Some of the islands are a little bit weird and interesting. It's just it might not work with the ideas that we had in mind for the islands, although I don't really know what those ideas were. So, like, we're just going to have to brainstorm it a little bit. So, we're going over this document. We're probably not going to get into too much detail on every single thing. But we will sort of break down some of the cool islands and keep them in mind in case we wanted to use them as actual islands. I feel like you should change the name to just Page Turner because the name Let's Make a Cartoon... Okay, sort of misleading. Well... I don't know, because Let's Make a Cartoon is the series name of like this YouTube series, and then Page Turner is the series we're making in the Let's Make a Cartoon series. So I don't know, maybe I'll change it. I could change it, I guess, but just that was the idea behind calling it Let's Make a Cartoon. So, anyway, welcome back. Yeah, you guys aren't late. We haven't started yet. So, I did sort of want to pull up the development timeline because I think it has been a little bit of time. Let me try to find it real quick. Here it is. Okay. Let's see, so that's one. It is this one. All right, so we've got... Here's the development timeline. Yeah, it's a little cut off, but that's okay. So, here's the development timeline. We are currently in the world building section. So this started around stream 22, and we're still working on it. So we've done... Have we done Luna's World? I don't think we've fully done Luna's World. Have we? Maybe we have. I can't remember. So we've done plants, we've done animals... Although we've done basic plants and animals, and we've had some unique, but it's not like all the plants and animals. We just wanted a base to get us started. We've done biomes, and we're working on islands right now. So we're on step 5 of world building. And then after we sort of develop some towns and villages and places, islands, my guess is going to be broken up into many, many different streams. So, like, we've got this, like, pre-initial stream where we're going over a doc that someone else made. And then next stream, I don't know if we're going to... I think what we had decided to do a long time ago was after we would go over this document, we would go over... We would make this just general document of sort of brainstorming some different island ideas. And then after that, we would go and break down each specific island. And we would have a stream on that. So we've got this pre-one. That second, like, all the islands, we're going to talk about it. And then we've got 9 separate streams per island. And we may have to do 2 parts on a couple islands. So we're looking around 11 streams as of right now for just islands. So this is going to take up a big chunk of time. And then towns, villages, and places. I feel like a lot of this is actually going to be done off camera. There will probably be a couple streams for this. And then we will do some work off camera. And then we can actually start making a map. There will probably be just like a stream of me just working on a map or something. And then we will do like a putting it together. And so the map making will probably, the first initial map making stream will probably just be like the layout and how it looks. And then putting it together will be adding these things to the map. And then checking it will just be like going over everything. Businesses and services, which is sort of similar to towns. So we might like mix some of this around a little bit. Life on Ilaria, that's just going to be describing sort of how life works, and then other whatever else we might do. Aren't we going over Ifadexa's doc and doing the general doc in the stream? Oh, no, I thought this stream was just going over Ifadexa's. Is that... I'm fine with sort of brainstorming it as well if we have enough time. What do you want to do, Mr. Fruit? Because I'm open for suggestions. Okay, so then when we're finished with world building, we can actually get onto story development, which is going to be cool. So we can work on stuff. Okay. That is the development timeline. So a lot of world building still. And then eventually we will make our way to the fun part, which is actually doing stuff. So. Okay. So, Mr. Fruit, did you have we should go over Ifadex's doc. Then as we get to each island, say what we like and dislike for that and add it to the new doc. Okay. So we can do that as well. If you want to. That. Okay. Well, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. I will get this. Hold on. All right, cool. Sweet. Okay. So, here we go. You guys can see it's a little cut off, but it doesn't go past that line. So, we're good. So, let's see. We started talking about the King's Island at the beginning of a stream, and then it cut off. So, we're sort of... I will go ahead and re-explain how this doc works, so that way everyone's on the same page today, right? Okay. So, first... Ifadexa for this document used a letter key system. So basically, they labeled A, B, C through H, and then each letter stands for something. So the first part is description. So then it's just a brief summary. Atmosphere, climate, native inhabitants, side islands, distinguishing features, social life, and attractions. This pink, for some reason, my brain's always like, this pink doesn't exist. And then it's like, I have to like focus on the pink to see it, so. Yeah, okay. So, we good on how this doc works? Oh, there's also footnotes. So, there are quite a lot of footnotes. Like, it gets into the hundred. Or no, I guess it doesn't get into the hundreds, but it gets pretty close. 84. That's a lot of footnotes. So, yeah, I do like this format. So when we make our doc, I sort of want it to be something similar to this, because I think it's very organized, and I like organization. So I do want there to be all this stuff. And even like if we never touch on atmosphere, for example, I think it's still a good thing to make. So that way it can explain some things in the show. So, yeah. So I always think more details, even if they are never used, are better than no details. No footnotes? You don't want any footnotes? Okay. Well, fair enough, I guess. Okay, so the King's Island, probably one of the most important islands. I would say there's probably going to be 3 most important islands, and that's going to be the King's Island, Luna's Island, whatever island she lives on, and then probably an extra island for some reason. Not entirely sure how, but there will probably be another island that's important. Monster Islands are also going to be important, but that's not. I don't think we cover that. That's not included in the 9 main islands, right? That's like a 10th sort of like. Well, it's not really a full island. It's like 4 or 5 small, large islands, like medium-sized islands, like sort of grouped together to like sort of make an island, like a large one. Yeah. So. Okay, so the King's Island is the centerpiece of Ilaria. It has the most businesses. This is sort of something that we've already established, so this isn't really too new. Although the stuff that's sort of new to this is it's 2-sided, warm and friendly on the surface, but icy at its core. Dry for a majority of the time, but a predictable rainy season. Original inhabitants were clever, newer generations are untrustworthy and crafty. So I don't know. This document, I think it's cool to have like old generations and new generations for some islands, but I don't know how well that works in this system, because doesn't that imply that all the islands are sort of separated, but all the islands I feel like are connected, right? I mean, they are separated, but they're not like, they're all ruled under the same person. So it's not like there's a difference in rules and a difference really in attitude. Like everyone's sort of all together. Does that make any sense at all? I don't know where exactly I'm going with that. It's more of just probably with the magic, because we did not want to separate magic based on islands. So, I mean, if fire magic wielders, for example, have a different personality from Earth, like that would sort of play into it a little bit, but we'll talk about this later at some point. An island version of Hall of Fame, Knight's Corner. Paved roads full of concrete. So my vision of the King's Island is just a big like city, pretty much. There's like big city, and then like maybe as you get closer out or like farther out, you get like smaller or maybe more large houses, and it's not like big buildings. It's more of just, you know, cabins and stuff like that out in the middle of nowhere. But I think for the most part, 90% of the island is just a city. So I think that's sort of the idea behind it. I don't know. So attractions: the King's Castle, yeah, the Knight's Tower, Magic Central, and so Night Tower for knights, and then Magic Central is a magical research and registration office for citizens with magic, so the king can track them. That's interesting. I wonder, since we don't exactly have the magic system finalized, we haven't fully decided, and the king, I assume the king likes to be all powerful and have an eye on everything, I think. So I think he it makes sense that the king would make people register, like, all right, so what magic class are you? What level are you? So that makes sense. Okay. So Mr. Fruit, is this the time where we would go over to the other dock and sort of, like, take notes or something? Everyone would have magic, so the tracking doesn't really make sense. Okay. So, like, I mean, it would be a lot to track, but, like, if he's tracking all the citizens, I don't know how that would work, because it's not like they have computers to do that. Like, the U.S., I mean, like, the U.S. tracks all of its citizens' name, social security number, etc. But they have computers and stuff to do that and make it easy. So, I don't know. Maybe that wouldn't work too well. Maybe it's like we're too far in the future. Like, we're thinking too far in the future for Ilaria. It's still back in the old days. Yeah. Okay, so maybe the king wants to, but he just physically cannot because of technology limitations. Even though he knows Earth has it, he just doesn't want to evolve Ilaria to that stage yet. So, okay. So then you said yes to checking out this. Let's see, is this good? I think we could zoom in. We could zoom in farther. Yay. Okay, so name. This one is the King Island, right? I think that's what it was. Yeah, I guess. I don't know if there should be a name, like the main island. Maybe people call it the main island or the island. The King's Island is the nickname. What if it was called like the island or the mainland? Okay, suggest. Let's hear some suggestions. Any other? Yes, no. The capital, okay. Eland? Eland. The center. Is it the center? It'd be. I would think it'd be the center of the island. So, okay, that's. The center. The celestial. I don't know about celestial because that implies space, and it's not space. So, well, I get where you got Eland. It's not ringing with me. It's not the Royal Island. Okay, I like that one too. Okay, I think that's enough. The Ultimate Island. That's maybe Island. All right. Okay, we're good on nickname stuff. Okay. Are we really going through all of these? Well, I don't think we're going to have enough time if we're doing all of this in one stream. So, I suppose. Okay, question. I think I know which one we're going to choose, but I wanted to put a couple options out there. There's no way we're going to have enough time to go through all 9 islands with reading this and then making notes and brainstorm. So, do we A, want to go only through this island? B, and the more likely option is go through, like, for example, the King's Island, and then this, and then go to the next one, and then this, and then we'll just break it into 2. Like, we'll stop around 4 or 5. Or, I guess, whenever we finish. And, I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe we'll go faster than I'm thinking we will, but I was planning on having these 2 be separate anyway, so we can split it into 2 if we need to. Okay, I think that's what we'll do. So, how do we want? Okay. Nickname would be the King's Island. Okay, well, do we? So if the King's Island is the nickname, what's the formal name for the island? Is it one of these? Or is it some, like, weird generated fantasy name? Because, I mean, I guess you're right. King's Island or the King's Island sort of sounds more like a nickname. I sort of like the capital island. Question, do they put island after all the islands, or do they just say the capital? I don't know. What other island names were there on here? The Hailstorm Island. Although I guess these are all nicknames. So what name system do we want for the islands? The capital would be more fitting for the area with the king's castle. Fair enough. I guess that sort of fits with the definition of capital. Mainland. The mainland makes it seem like the other islands aren't very important, but they are. Like, it's all, like, together, sort of. Are the islands still floating? Yes, they are. Name the inland or the island after yourself. Me? Why would it be named after me? That doesn't make sense. I remember there were names to vote on in Discord. Were there? I don't remember that. Well, actually, maybe I do remember that a little bit. Maybe it's at the back of my mind. How about we come up with the names in Discord after stream or at the very end of the second stream? Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. We'll have these as notes. Okay, description of the King's Island. It's like the central island, the Titans Island. That's kind of interesting. The King's Domain. That also seems. The central island that the king lives on holds a lot of, like, businesses. Okay, well, I'll just copy this. Gracias. Is this from... Center of night training, one big city with smaller towns around the edges. Okay. I would say that's a pretty good description. The first part's from... Okay. So... Two-sided... Okay, well, the thing is, atmosphere... I don't know. Do we want it to be, like, corrupt? Do we want the businesses to be corrupt? Because here's the thing, right? The king, that's something that the king can completely control. And I feel like the king... From what I remember about the king, he hates corruption, right? Because he felt that the king, when he was little, the current king, he was super corrupt. You know, everyone was in super poor conditions. He personally was in a pretty good spot because I think it was his mother, right, who was the like, what was the word? It wasn't a whisper. It was what, like, just so like a knight or a magic wielder. Guardian? Was that what it was? Oh, that's right. It was the Guardians. That's right. So they were the guardian for the current king. And so he was in a pretty good position because of that. But then I can't remember. I'd have to pull up the king's document because it's been so long since we've talked about it. But anyway, point being, I would think the king would sort of hate corruption, even though he himself isn't... He doesn't think of himself as corrupt because he thinks that everyone lives a pretty good life, right? Everyone loves him. He lives... He's not like an unfair person. People like him pretty well. So, I would think he wouldn't like businesses to be corrupt. The king's plans and motivations don't line up with allowing people to be corrupt and violent. Sure, he might be two-faced, but the Ilarians don't see him that way. Right. So, question is, I mean, icy at its core implies, like, it's corrupt, and it's, like, if you are in the city and you live there and it's like, you know what's up, then you don't like it, right? But I would think most people in the city have the same opinions of the city and of the king and things as like everyone else on the other islands. Long time ago, the King of England had to agree with the parliament to make decisions, so we should make a government based off on corruption before making the atmosphere. Well, we sort of had it. We talked about the government at some point, and it was, there was like, I don't remember the tiers. There was the main, like, it's not, we didn't name them the governor, but there was like the main head of each island. It went the king, the whisperers, the head of each island. So there were 8 other heads because the king counted as one of the heads of the king's island. And then it broke up into each town. Like there was a city, and each city would have like a mayor, and then each town would have like a townsperson, I guess. That's how we sort of broke it up. So that's how the government works. I don't know if we talked about, did we talk about like how it would work with like the justice system and stuff like that? I don't know. Anyway, I would think the king would not like it to be corrupt. So as far as how it feels, do we want it to be two-sided? King, Whisperer, Administrator, Executives, and Mayors. Okay. Okay, cool. Oh, that's old. That's not the newest. Oh well. It was something like that. What laws do they have on Ilaria? Well, we don't know the exact laws yet. We have... Do we even have... We don't have any laws in place. That'll be for another stream. King, Whisperers, Viceroys, Cardinals, and Mayors. Okay. So the Viceroys are like the head of each specific island. The Cardinals are the heads of each individual town. And then the Mayors are in charge of villages. Is that right? I think that's right. Unless if it's not, then it would be wrong. Okay, I think the question we need to be asking right now is there corruption at any point? In any town? Mayors would be for towns, Viceroys would be for each island, and Cardinals would be for in between of that. Okay. Okay, cool. Cool. So, Cardinals are for the provinces. Okay. With the Monster Islands. Monster Island is completely separate from these main islands, so they don't have any of the same rules. Okay, well, just because there's dystopias here on Earth doesn't mean it would be the same thing. The king is basically the ruler of the world at this point. It's just, I mean, there's the monster islands that he doesn't want to deal with, I don't think, or he just can't deal with them. I don't know which one it is. But we don't have to base this on anything that Earth has ever seen. The black market. Okay, so are we having a black market? Because if we're having a black market, that could take place in the big city. So that would play into maybe not necessarily the icy at its core, but like something with a shadow. Okay, so it looks like we won a black market. Okay, so we're having a black market. So I like this description. However, I don't know if I like icy at its core. I think I want to change it to two-sided, warm and friendly on the surface, but has a shadow. I mean, maybe it's fine. Lukewarm. Okay, well. But yeah, maybe the king just doesn't care as much. He's just like, he's like, whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, even if he had chosen to elect a viceroy, is that what it was? Viceroy. Yeah, viceroy. If he had chosen to elect a viceroy, things would be a lot more, like, cracked down on. But since the king is like, nah, I don't want a viceroy in my island. It's my island. But he just doesn't do very much. He's just like, I just want to, relax or whatever. There's a lot of, like, that allows the black market. Because normally, maybe he tells the viceroys, like, hey, crack down on all these stuff. Like, no black markets, no this, no this. But the only place that can thrive is on the king's island, because he just doesn't care about fixing any of the problems. So the king is too focused on the other islands that he can disregard his own. Okay. So, but has a lot of core issues that the king does not attend to. How's that? Example. Black market. He's too busy doing everything else. Well, I don't know. We don't even know exactly what the king does. But he does something, hopefully. Okay. Dry for the majority of the time, but a predictable rainy season. This, I don't think is... I mean, the weather I don't think is as important. I think as far as page turner goes, what I'm envisioning is more, less rain, more daylight and sunny stuff. So I think this makes sense. Like, in this story, it's dry, sunny, it's all good. Then you'll have those 1 or 2 episodes where it's raining. And then you'll go back to it being sunny. And then that'll indicate that it's sunny. And then there's rain season. And then sunny. And then, obviously there would be rain at other times. But, like, just thinking about this from the show's perspective, it would be mostly sunny, I think. Put that in the wrong place. All right. Native inhabitants. What do we want to do for this? How do we want the native inhabitants to be? Because here's the thing, right? everyone has been under the king's rule for thousands of years, right? So it's not like, I mean, maybe there is. Maybe there's some sort of generational gap. But I would think if the systems stayed the same for thousands of years, not much is really going to change, is there? Like, there hasn't been much technology advancement. I mean, they weren't raised differently. Like, for example, like people nowadays who grew up with technology, obviously they grew up in a different environment from people 50 years ago. And then people 100 years ago grew up in a different environment from people 50 years ago. So Ilaria does not evolve like that. They pretty much stayed the same because they had magic. Sure, magic develops and they invent new technology, but it's pretty much stayed the same for probably 400 or 500 years with not much new technological advancement, aside from maybe the king being like, I've invented, I don't know, pencil sharpeners and pencils because he just like saw like, oh, Earth invented this new thing, I'm gonna go ahead and take it over here, because that's what the king sort of does, is he invents things. I think, at least that's what I would think the king does. I don't think there would be much of a generational change, and touching on it would distract from the more important things. Right, exactly. So what, maybe instead of original inhabitants, we change this to like people living there. How do people act on this island in comparison to other islands? Like, what makes them act a little bit differently? Like, for example, people in the city maybe expect quicker service and are always trying to be faster because, you know, it's in and out. You know, like, if my house is here, I only got to walk a little bit to go to get food, for example, right? So quick, speedy, let's get it done. Going to work takes 5 minutes to walk, you know. You don't really need transportation, although I don't know how cars would work. I don't know. But anyway, I think, like, in comparison to another island where it's, like, more countryside, like, you might have to walk for 20 minutes to get to a restaurant or to school or whatever, and then it's like, oh, well, might as well, you know, take my time, enjoy the view, you know, all that stuff. So maybe we change this to how people act. So do we like the idea of, like, them being fast, rush, competitive? Maybe competitive and ruthless might be better. Although, I mean, if the King's Island is like the home of businesses, that sort of implies like it's home of competition as well. Like, if you're not doing good, then you're going to be drove out of business, right? So I feel like competition would also be a big part of it. And since there's so many people living there, because it's a city and it's not like they can pack people into apartments, there's gonna be more people living there, more competition for jobs and stuff. Inhabitant would be focused on their businesses and competitive, since there would be a lot of good schools. Okay, I like that. That's good. So we'll do this. The island is ungoverned and unregulated, but by anyone but the king. They'll probably be treated as kind of rougher than people from other islands because they get away with more. Okay. I mean, they get away with more, but at the same time, I feel like even people in the city, they would still. It's not like they're gonna go around stealing things, right? They still have common decency. It's just they're maybe a little more rude. You were thinking it was welcoming and nice. Nah, maybe. I mean, ruder. Okay, fair enough, I guess. Yeah, since it's so competitive, I mean, people are like, oh, well, I need to get this job before anyone else. I don't think they should be rude. No, they definitely wouldn't be rude everywhere. I think it's more just in the city because there's so much competition. They would be a little more rude there. Other places, they're going to be more chill, less people. The King's Island, I think, should have the highest population out of all the islands. So, people are like, there's a lot of people. If you want to live good, you gotta get your way up there, and then, you know, you gotta do some things to do that. Side islands. Let's see what. Oh, okay. So like a Hall of Fame, Knight's Corner, a temporary name, Isle of Fame. Okay, I like these. These are cool. And then the Hall of Fame, I kind of envision it being maybe like a museum that people can go travel to. And it's sort of like, I don't know, a place where the king can make money. Oh, yeah, yeah. Import and export. That's a good one. Any other side islands ideas? Do you think it would be the most technologically advanced since the king knows? Yes. And especially since the king, since he regulates all the money, he could just be like, all right, I want my island to be the best. You know, like, get all the new water systems and hire the most magic people to regulate things. So maybe that's a good, has the most technology, although I don't know if I'd call it like traditional technology. Like maybe I call it more magic technology. I feel like there would be a lot of failed buildings there and an area full of it, like a construction site. So maybe there's always, maybe the island is constantly being expanded. Do we like that idea? Like the city keeps growing. And so maybe people on the outskirts are like, why the city's getting closer, like could you stay away? You know, like I just want to live in my cabin on the outskirts of the island. And then that might cause them to leave and go to a different island. Do we like that idea? Yes, no. No. Yeah, that's another problem the king isn't working on. Okay. So the city is constantly being expanded. That could be another part. Yeah, good. Sweet. So, did anyone else have any other ideas for side islands? We could talk about that. No. I'll make that a slash if you're yelling at me. 7 is distinguishing features. Paved roads full of concrete. Floating bush lights. Lack of vegetation. I mean, this is basically just describing a city except for the floating bush lights. Right? What's a side island again? Okay, so the side islands are like, you got the main island here, and then you've got smaller islands that float around it. And they're not as big. They're not big enough to be classified as a separate island, but they're big enough to have stuff on it. So that's what a side island is. So I think the floating bush lights is an interesting idea. Paved roads full of concrete. Yep, that's just describing a city. Lack of vegetation, also just describing a city. Except, except on the edge of the city. But of course, that's being wiped out because the city is constantly expanding. Should we have a section for biomes of the islands? That's a good idea. That's a pretty good idea. Yes, we should do that. And then maybe, well, nah. Let's stick to biomes for now, and then we can add in like the kinds of plants and animals that live there. So okay, social life is next. Professional in appearance, but immensely corrupt. Again, with the corruption, I don't know if I would use corrupt. I like professional. What if it was professional in appearance, but... I mean, okay, there's still vegetation on the island. It's just not as much. Like, it's mostly city. Like, you wouldn't find a forest except if you went out of the city towards the edge of the island. I don't know if I would use corrupt here, but do we want there to be like a lot of parties? Since the king is a lot more laid back, if there were like parties on the rooftops, most cities and towns and stuff probably wouldn't allow that. But since the king wouldn't really enforce it, work hard, play hard. Yeah, exactly. But, okay, so then how would we word that if we wanted to do that? Like, professional in appearance, but fun on the inside? Spectrum of competitive with business to playful in festivals. Okay. Unorganized? I don't know if I would use unorganized. But the entire population are secretly party animals with a tendency to overdrink and engage in risky activity. I don't know if I'd go that far. I think this is a pretty good way to describe it. Okay, attractions. The King's Castle, the Knight's Tower, Magic Central. I think there can still be a Magic Central, and it would be for like research, but it wouldn't be a registration office. Any other ideas? And the Knight's Tower would probably be on this side island, right? Popple-berry juice doesn't intoxicate you guys. It's a soda. Okay, so what if the is the king's castle in the very center of the island, or is it towards the edge? And it's like, honestly, when I was thinking about it, my mind put it at the edge, and then like the castle, or then the city grew from the side and just went like this. But I guess if it's in the center, then that maybe changes things. Okay, so if the King's Island is or if the King's Castle is in the center, then, that makes, yeah, maybe there's two different night locations. So, like, training knights will go to the Knight's Corner Island, and then the official knights, or, like, maybe the more, like, high-end knights, they are closer to the castle. I want it to have a magic library, but not sure if it would be the King's Island, because I want Luna and Nico to go there to do research. Actually, that's a good idea. I think, like, the largest library on the island. That makes sense, because then, like, you have to have special access to go there. Like, you have to have, like, a special key card or something. And then, I don't know, you swipe the key card. Or, they might not be that technologically advanced yet. You have to have a key, maybe. You just have to have the right key, right? And so Blake has this key because he is a teacher. And so he can go and he can do research here. And so this is how Blake sort of started learning stuff, because he does research. Need special access. All right. Any other ideas? There's also be places for tournaments to be held near the center of the island. So, like, yeah. So, like a stadium kind of thing. Okay. Big businesses, yes. But I don't know, those wouldn't be the attractions. Like, you don't go into a new city like, oh, yes, let's go check out all these big businesses. No, you go there for the fun stuff, right? Although, I mean, to also be fair, magic research, you don't really go there to look at the research, maybe. I mean, maybe they offer tours of the research, but, like, anyway. Okay. So we are actually doing pretty bad on time. This is taking a lot longer than I thought it would. So, let's move on from the King's Island to number 2. What is number 2? Number 2 is the Magic Island, except for, I don't know, since magic isn't really being divided by island, this might not work. This island claims to be the source of all magic, proven wrong in an episode. Majestic, exuberant, and flashy, competes with the monochromatic island for most aesthetic island. Divided between the wet and dry sides and are consistent. Okay, here's a question. Do we want since the King's Island is mostly dry, do we want... I don't know exactly how the participation works on Earth, but for example, did we want, like, as you get closer to the equator, maybe it rains less? I think, is that how it works? That might be how it works on Earth. But like, let's say for example, King's Island is the center, right? So the islands, depending on where they're placed around the King's Island, that might change their atmosphere. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know if we need to like be that specific about it. But I mean, that might be something we want to take into consideration. I'd have to do like research on how all that stuff works. But yeah, magic is at the core. So I don't know what this I don't know. Yeah, well, since this is based on like the Magic Island, what if we made this, instead of the Magic Island, what if we made it the Research Island? So this island, there was a lot of research going on, so it has a huge facility of magic research and just like scientific research and just a bunch of different stuff. It's known as the Research Island. What do we think about that? Because, I mean, we can have an island that, like, the scientists go to. Maybe the library would be there. Yeah, maybe the library would be there. Maybe this would be the next biggest thing, because maybe this is next to Luna's island, and so it's pretty easy to get there. And so Luna and Nico are like, alright, so let's go to the Science Island, or the Experiment Island, and go train, because maybe it has like a lot of different training fields for people who are becoming knights and stuff like that. And so you can train, you can experiment, there are experimentors there. You think Luna should live on the King's Island? Really? When I've been thinking about it, I've always just imagined that Luna would be on a more, like, countryside island, to where she can, like, I don't know, if she's late to school, she can run and has to cut through the forest to get to school. I was always thinking that she would live on a more countryside island. She could live more towards the edge. I mean, okay, I guess. What's the reasoning for wanting her to live on the King's Island versus just some other one? Yeah, training in her backyard when parents aren't home. Because, I mean, the way I envisioned it is, I guess it's kind of hard to think about it when we don't have a map and we don't know how much space, how much of the island is actually town, because most of the island is just a big town or a big city, but there's still a lot. I mean, there may still be a lot of like smaller towns on the outskirts. It would be harder for her to become a knight being on the same island of where they train. Oh, it would help her to become a knight. Okay. Maybe she wants to move to the King's Island to train to become a knight. Blake being on the King's Island without the King knowing would show how the King's need for control of the other islands is counterproductive. So that maybe that's why he's able to like stay hidden, because sure, internally he's on the wanted list, but since the King doesn't really enforce the law, I mean, I don't really know how that would work though. Maybe, what if there's no Whisperer? Since there's no Cardinal, the Cardinal is usually what makes the calls on, like, I don't know, because I feel like that'd be like the mayor's job. I don't know how they're going to do crime-related stuff. I would think crime wouldn't be as big of a problem, but obviously since they need knights, it still would be. So, because for example, the black market, I feel like that would be something that maybe the mayor would have to take care of. Like, the mayor would tell the police or the knights, go disband this black market, right? But I don't know, why is that the King's responsibility? So I feel like we need to discuss why that's still a thing. Luna being close to the center of the knights would both help her have a goal of being a knight, while also being more crushed since she's not studying in a school to be a knight. Maybe she lives on another island but goes to school on another island. That'd be a pretty big commute time. Yeah, I think that would be a little hard. Okay, so here's the thing. I am open to Luna living on the King's Island. It's just, I want her to live more in the countryside. So it would have to be towards the edge of the island. And so there has to be a pretty good chunk of space left. So that way there's still like towns that are on the outskirts of the King's Island. Okay, that's good, I guess. So if Luna lives on the King's Island, that means most of the series is going to take place on the King's Island, actually. So we don't have to, it's more important to develop the King's Island than all the other islands. Although I do want to develop some other islands as well, a little bit. Okay, so going back to the second island that we're working on. The story would start in the King's Island. Then the middle takes place exploring Ilaria. And during the end, we're already familiar with the King's Island, so we don't have to spend time developing it. Why would she be exploring it again? Why are they exploring the Ilaria in general? Because the story goes, it's been a while, it's been a hot minute, going on quests. Does quests take up that much time? How much time is being taken on quests? I guess, did we ever run through how long the series would be? I feel like I remember sort of doing that. I don't have the arc stock pulled up. Okay, well, anyway. That's cool. So, going back to this island. Do we want there to be sort of like an experiments island where it's like, that's where, if you are a scientist and you want to experiment on magic and you want to experiment on people doing magic and stuff like that, and maybe you just want like a big open space for you to like test your magic and stuff, do we want an island to be like that? Where it's like, that's like what the island is known for? Because that's pretty much what we're going based off of. We're going based off of the big thing that everybody knows. Like, there's one main thing that everyone knows about the islands, like the Experiments Island. Like, that's where all the experiments take place, and that's where they do the most scientific research and stuff like that. King's Island, King lives there. That's what it's known for most, and that it's a big city. Right now, at least 14 episodes are dedicated to other islands. Okay, I mean, that's fair enough. How many episodes? We don't know how many episodes there are. I mean, we sort of ran through it, but that's obviously going to change as we develop more things and change the plot around. So I don't know how long it's actually going to end up being. Okay, once we start making scripts, we're going to do, I don't know exactly how we're going to do it, but the plan is to let people, like, comment and develop the scripts. Nobody's answering me on the experimental islands. Are we doing, not islands, but more of just island? Guys, we can't focus on scripts because we're not there yet. We're not even close. Okay, you think having a research island would be cool. That's what I wanted to hear. So... the research island. Nicknames. Yeah, I know. Experiment. Island. Sure. Okay, so I don't know if it would be flashy. It wouldn't be flashy at all because a lot of it's just blown up. I would think. So we're kind of going completely off script because, I mean, there's not really. Are we even doing this? Would there even be this magic island? Is there like an experiment island already? Maybe not. Oh, I guess there were more. Okay, well, I'll go ahead and copy these over here. Isle of Fame. Where's Staying on the good side. Yep. Alright. Sweet. Sorry, I didn't. The research library could be huge and span the majority of the area. The whole island? Okay, the research or the experiment island would be, like, there is a big library, and that's where they store a lot of their research. There is probably a good chunk of it is nobody lives there. It's just open terrain. And so you got a mountain, forest, lake, river, whatever. And it's sort of this big area with like any environment that you could wish for. And so people go there to do training and to do experiments on different areas. So it's like there's a large chunk where people don't fully live. There is still like towns and stuff, but that's kind of separated from just this big open area. I would think that this island has the lowest population out of probably any island. So scientists do research and practice their magic. Okay, yeah, people could be hired to create artificial terrain, that's right. Are there private islands? Maybe. I mean, that's kind of an interesting idea. I mean, sure, there are a bunch of smaller little islands, so maybe that, I mean, probably yes, there are. Maybe there can also be like a volcano there. Terrain. How do you spell terrain? Terrain. Terrain? Terrain. Okay, cool. A large variety of terrain. So there's something for everyone. It could be near volcanic islands, which are easy to transport to. That's also a good point. Large variety of terrain. So there's something for everyone. Smallest population out of every island. Well, there would be a place where it's only rocks and it's just like hard to navigate, but it's not all that. Maybe this is where a lot of caves are too. Well, there was also another island that was for caves, and it was the cavern island. And so this one had a lot of caves. So I think it might be better to have a specific island dedicated to caves. I mean, sure, there will still be some caves because it has a large variety of terrain, but I think there will be an island that specializes, not really specializes, but is more known for having specifically caves. People that go to school there and work there live in dorms/buildings specifically for them. There's also hotels for tourists. No one lives there permanently. Okay. So... There's also a lot of security to prevent secrets. Okay. Lots. Yeah, I'll just copy this. Although secrets from what? That's my question. What are they hiding? Maybe the king is hiring researchers to do research on a specific thing, and so they don't want that getting out. Although that would probably be for more of the research facilities, not so much just the open terrain for people to experiment on. Actually, I'll go ahead and copy paste this too. Okay, anything else? Is it possible for people, like scientists, to find out there's another world? Probably not. I don't, like, they'd have to be lucky and create a bond, but I think they're not going to do that on accident, so. Some kind of great magical phenomenon that is getting studied. Well, I don't know what that would be, though. I mean, if we come up with one, that could be a good topic of discussion, but as of right now, we don't really have one. There are weirder plants because scientists like to experiment and make new ones. So maybe like species to the island. More animals. Okay, so more wildlife? Well, wildlife, wilder life? No. Is wildlife one word, or is that... I don't know, I guess it's one word. More wildlife. The research island is the biggest import to the King's Island black market. Why? Like, because they're producing, like, stuff that's not really being produced anywhere else? Oh, a way to get to the bottom of the oceans. I like that. Well, let's get to the bottom. There we go. That's cool. I like that. I wonder how that would work, though. How would you do that? Anti-gravity phenomenon? Nah, that seems a little weird. Or, well, maybe that's more of something that the space magic users could do. But it's not a phenomenon, really. It's just magic. Okay. So... we've got atmosphere. What would the atmosphere be like here? I would think it would be a pretty even mix between, you know, rain and sun. Research Island is like... I like that. I mean, you would think that the atmosphere would have a good mix because, I mean, you would want a good mix to do research in both, you know, daylight and rain. Oh, they experiment with the weather. Could they change the weather? I guess maybe that would be something that maybe the area users could do. I like that. Maybe that's something that the area users have more control over, and so they can change some of the weather. Oh wait, where's the... Oh, that's climate. Huh. It's funny. Okay. Okay, so atmosphere, is it like everyone is there for a purpose. Nobody's there just to go have fun. Well, that's not entirely true, but like nobody's there because they just happen to be born there, you know? Everyone is there for a purpose. You are not bothered. You're not bothered unless if you're doing something bad, but like that bad thing would be like sneaking into the research facility, you know. Maybe there's one person that actually lives there. Okay, like the only couple people that would live there. Well, actually, that's an interesting thought because how would the viceroys and the cardinals, how would they work there? I would think there would be a viceroy that lives there, maybe. Or maybe not. Maybe the king oversees his island as well as the experiment island. Maybe not. Maybe there's still a viceroy here. But I would think that there would only need to be one viceroy because since there's no, like, towns, it's not like you need a mayor or a cardinal. You could probably get away with just having the viceroy. Right? I don't know. The person in charge of the facility? Okay, well, maybe. Inhabitants? Well, there's not really... I mean, I guess we can sort of describe the people currently living there. Yeah, I guess it probably would be a little more corrupt. But at the same time, like, how would you even measure corruptness on the island? Because, like, there's not really much to be corrupt for. You know, it's not like businesses are overtaking the government. It's literally just researchers living there, pretty much. And they are there to do research. They're not there to, you know, take over the government. Hardworking and likes to question things. That's good. And then the other one too is also good. 2 inhabitants, one of the king's officials, and the head researcher. They constantly clash, but are basically frenemies. Okay. I like that idea. Although I don't know where exactly I would put that in this document. Sorry. Okay, I guess I'll put that... I'll put it, here. How about that? That's fine. Okay, side islands. Volcanoes. Okay. That's that good. I mean, side islands. Side islands, I don't think are big enough for caves, actually, or at least not very big caves. They can have like a little hole in them, but I don't think they're that big. Distinguishing features. Okay. That's not a bad idea. Distinguishing features? Are there any distinguishing features? Maybe the absolutely destroyed wasteland. Where people like burn stuff and, you know, use rocks to create this just mess place. The ruins. I don't know. Distinguishing features. I don't know if there's fires all around that make the air have smoke. No, that's not good because there's a lot of wildlife here. Social life. What social life? There is no social life. Everyone's researching. There is no social life. Okay, fair enough. Research. Largest library in Ilaria. Private and public research facilities. Okay. Oh boy, it's taking us like half an hour per island. Okay, we ready to move on to the next island? Hooray! Well, okay, there's 9 islands. If we do 3 islands per stream, that's only 3 streams. So, I guess we're sort of on track for 3 streams. It's a little bit longer than what I was expecting, but I think this is more efficient in the long run because if we were to only go through this document today and then we were to only do this document tomorrow, we would still be referencing this document, so like, yeah. Okay, next island. Hailstorm Island. a cold, frigid, and dangerous iceland known for its weather. Okay, cool. Good idea, maybe. I think I have. What if it was just a ginormous mountain? It was a ginormous mountain, and it was snowy all year round. Basically a blizzard every day, yeah. So, I mean, it would basically be this, except instead of it being just a normal island, it's a mountain. How about that? Could have the frozen wastelands biome, yes. Indeed. The frozen mountain with wasteland. Yes, bigger than Mount Everest. I don't know about that. I mean, maybe. Depends on how big the island itself is. Because in order to have that big of a mountain, you have to have a huge amount of space. So, yeah. Caves in the mountain? Yeah. Caves in the mountain. There can be caves in the mountain. And the mountain is actually a hibernating volcano that erupts every 1,000 years. I don't know about that. That's kind of scary. Mountain villages, yes. Okay, well this one, this one will actually be a lot easier to do. I think. Because a lot of it's just this one. The Hailstorm Island? Is that... I mean, Hailstorm... It does not scream snow, it screams hail. So, what would we want to name this island? Like, the Mountain Island? The Mountain Island. What else? Blizzard Island, Frost Island. The Mountain Island. Okay. So, do you want to keep Hailstorm? Frost Mount? That's not bad. Okay. One large mountain. Atmosphere, cold, stoic, and uneventful, usually. Okay. Some people try to be optimistic, but it is hard because every day is a blizzard. It's funny. Are some islands going to be higher elevation? Actually, no. I don't think so. Because the way the island works... Actually, that's not true. It depends on how... It probably depends on how much volatile you have. They're all probably going to be roughly around the same volatile amount. So it's not like they're going to vary by too much. Probably. But I assume there will be some fluctuation. Okay, I don't like mostly wet necessarily. I like constant snow. That's pretty much what it is non-stop snow. Although, I guess depending on if water users could like use and affect the snow, they might be able to like clear the path. But if it's like a constant snow, the snow has to go somewhere. So if it's just a constant snow, it's going to be piling up. Well, yeah, some places would be more still. I was over exaggerating a little bit here, but it's I want it to feel like a constant snow, like, oh, it's snowing today, like it did the past 7 days, you know. Thin air, I like that. Can water users... I don't know if water users can control the weather. Maybe the snow on Ilaria is really weird. And the way it works is... Maybe it's like really compact. I mean, I don't know. I mean, snow in real life here on Earth is pretty compact too. How would that work? How can we achieve a constant snow without the snow building up? What if it could be hot even though it's snowing? Well, technically that's not possible, but I don't know. What if some snow has very large snowflakes, so you could see the individual snowflakes? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, if you look hard enough, you can see the individual snowflakes, but... Strong night air currents. Maybe that's what it is. During the day, it's a constant snow, but at night, it's like... It's a lot less, and so it sort of melts. It gets warmer at night for some reason, maybe. And so... I don't know why that would happen, but maybe something with the solar system, and since they have like 3 moons, maybe the 3 moons come together on that particular island and then sort of like melt the snow, even though I don't think that's how it works at all. So I don't know. It doesn't matter. We'll just say constant snow during the day. During the day. Warmer. And the snow melts. Well, then I guess that would sort of go back to mostly wet and... Okay, well, fair enough, I guess. Came back to this. Usually where you live, the snowflakes are too small and they grip together, so you can't see the snowflake patterns. Sometimes the snowflakes are big enough to see all the details very quickly. Yeah, I guess maybe it does depend on where you live. I don't know. I feel like, for me, if you look hard enough and you stare at it enough, you can see. Maybe there are underground hot springs that can only melt, through the snow when the snowflake is light enough to not constantly be freezing. Well, yeah, that makes sense, especially since, well, if it's not a volcano... I don't know. Inhabitants adapted to weather conditions and learned to drop their body temperature. Although this is more about, I mean, I guess it can be both. Because this one is pretty unique to this. Like, they can have a pretty diverse, like, they can have fire, wind, earth users. And they can be pretty diverse in that way, but, I mean, like, they all have to get used to the cold. And typically, people don't move in, and people don't move out. Well, maybe people do move out, but, like, they sort of have a sense of duty. Like, if I move out, if I move out, then what's to say other people won't move out? So people just don't move out because they don't want other people to move out and make it harder work for everyone living there. So they just choose to stay there. There could be many lakes and rivers that sometimes melt, and the water will go off the island in a waterfall, but then they freeze again. Okay. Maybe that's distinguishing features. The cool waterfalls. And then someone said hot springs. We'll do that here. So maybe they go into the mountain to go chill out in the hot springs, and that's something they do for fun. Social life? What would the social life be like? Let's see, what did Ifedexa put? Which one is social life? Oh, gee. Jeez. Did I skip something? Oh, yeah, I skipped side islands. Thought I skipped something. Icy caverns and icy peaks. Okay, that's fair. That's good. Heat-seeking hailstorm. How does the hail know to heat-seek? I don't know. Maybe that's how it got its name, Hailstorm. There could be hail. Reverse snowfall. Huh. Huh. That's really cool. That's a really cool idea. I love that. So instead of the snow melting, the snow goes back up during the night. And maybe that could have something to do with the moons. The moons aren't strong enough to pull anything but the snow for some reason, because the snow is tiny, so it pulls up the little snow and it goes up into clouds. Oh, that's so cool. Or it could be air, I guess, too, but I don't know. I think that's really cool. The snow is... Okay, why is the snow lifted up in the air? Is it only at night? Okay, I do want the snow to go up at some point. When is it? Is it like once or twice every week? Or is it like every night? When is it? And is it a gust of air? Is it the moon pulling the snow? Which, I mean, the moon affects the tides here on Earth. I don't know. I don't know how it would only affect the snow and only affect this one island, but it's a cartoon. It doesn't matter. Maybe. Okay, so is it... Okay. Is it wind? I'm fine with doing wind. due to... Maybe the winds are caused by the moons. Most nights due to heavy winds. People must care not get stuck out at night. Mr. Fruit, you're so good at wording things. I envy you. Tense wind gusts. Well, actually, I will put this... here. At night. It's okay. I feel like we're all sort of in the same boat there. Okay, social life. I mean, everyone stays indoors. That's their social life is, hey, you want to run over to my house? Like, real quick. And it's like, I don't know, it's kind of cold today. Everyone is hardworking. Although, wouldn't that be Inhabitants? There should be underground tunnels. Okay, but if they... Okay, here's the thing. If there were underground tunnels, then that sort of takes away from the whole don't get stuck out at night, because then it wouldn't really matter because you're just using the tunnels to go everywhere, right? But I'm not gonna lie, the tunnels are kind of an interesting idea because that might just mean that there is no outside interactability at all. And so their front door is a trap door, and you have to climb up a ladder to get into someone else's house or another building. Which is kind of interesting. But maybe that's for a different island or something. I don't know what exactly or why, but like the underground tunnels, the snowfall would act as a blanket and make it warmer, like with the mice in the wild at wintertime. I think it'd be harder to live underground if you didn't have air creators, yeah. The snow would just pile on top of them and they would suffocate. Yeah, I would imagine that all the houses would be very close together. So that way all the buildings would be super close because you don't want to travel very far because it's so cold. Okay, so do we want underground tunnels or not? I mean, there's going to be underground stuff, especially for the cave island. Maybe in some villages, it's just for one giant house for the whole village. Yeah, okay. That's a cool idea. One ginormous building and everyone gets their own separate room. Living there would be so miserable, though. It's like you are literally only living to survive. This is the Misery Island. Maybe that's what it's called. Everyone knows each other. Each town is just one separate building, and then each town consists of like 20 or 30 people. In the smaller ones. Yeah, the places with less snow / a more mild climate would be more populated. That's where you want your Whisperer character to live? Okay. It's because you can relax inside, but outside no? It would still be cold inside. Because think about it, right? There's no heater, so if you wanted to be warm, there would have to be a fire user constantly warming the house. Or I guess there could just be a fire going, but still, like, starting a fire, you would pretty much need a fire user. So, eternal fire. Well, I don't know about eternal fire. Start a fire with rocks and sticks. Do you know how hard it is to start a fire with some sticks and some wood? It's insanely hard. Lagging. Is there lag? Maybe the smoke from all the fireplaces contribute to the eternal snowstorm. Maybe so. Thermal heating system in the mountain. I don't know if that's how it works. Maybe most of the people there have fire powers. Well, we're trying to eliminate that. Really, there needs to be a good variety because fire users need to keep the heat. Water, depending on if they can manipulate snow, that might be helpful. Air can also be helpful for getting oxygen, maybe through tunnels that maybe exist, or like if there's just like a bunch of wind that's potentially blowing something down, the air users could blow in the opposite direction and hopefully prevent that whatever they're trying to save from falling down. And then earth users would just be helpful overall because they would help make tunnels, they would help make buildings. I would assume that a lot of buildings are just because if it's so cold outside to where it's like it's miserable to build something, you're not going to want to build something that looks super great, especially since nobody's outside to look at the appearance anyway. You're just focusing on the effectiveness of the house, so it's mostly just probably rocks for the most part, I would think. So attractions, I mean, hot springs. That's about it, actually. I think that's like the only attraction that this island would have. Okay, well, in some areas, there would be a lot. It would be a lot more mild, and so you could still go out in the snow in some days. Nobody... This island gets, like, no tourists. Night training facility. Okay, fair enough. No, this place is brutal, especially as you go up the mountain. Like, as you go up the mountain, you stay inside more and more. So it's, like, terrible. It's one of the most deadly islands. Probably. Although, since they're so protective, it's like... Maybe it's one of the more it's one of the most dangerous ones, but not the most deadly. Yeah, the mountain villages could have the tunnels. Alright, well, sweet. I think... I think this is a good stopping point. I mean, we're at 4 o'clock anyway. But, we've got the King's Island. We've got the Research Island, or the Experiment Island. And then we've got the Mountainous Island. Hooray! I think next week we're just gonna do 3 more islands, right? 4, 5, and 6. Does that sound good? Yeah, I would say the stream was pretty productive. I don't know. How should I format the recap episode for this? Because, it took like half an hour to do each one of these. My first thought on how to do it was just to, like, after the stream, I would just record me saying, like, okay, so this is the King's Island. And read off the description and stuff. I don't know. Because, like... I could also... A lot of it was just discussion, so I don't know. Pink Bubbles, is this your first time here? There's a lot of recap episodes. My recommendation for you, if this is your first time, would be... Mr. Fruit sent the link. It's pinned in the comments. You should watch that. That link brings you to a stream where we did a recap of pretty much everything. So you can watch that. That's 2 hours. So that will bring you up to speed up until that point, which I think it's like episode 18 or so, or stream 18 or 17 or something. And then if you want to get caught up even further, you got to watch all of the recap episodes after that. And typically there's a recap episode every Tuesday, assuming that there was a stream the previous Sunday. So like this upcoming Tuesday, there will be a recap episode for this. Now, typically, if you attend the streams, you don't have to watch the recap episodes. The recap episodes are for people who, A, couldn't make it to the stream, and B, maybe forgot what was in the stream and wanted to rewatch it. Yeah, and then the Discord. The Discord's important, too. Okay. So, any other questions? I think what I'll do is I'll just reread. It'll be like me making a separate video for this. Because I don't know if I can do a recap episode from clips from this stream. Okay, so I think we're good. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this stream here. Yeah, thanks for joining me again for another week, and I will see you guys in the next stream, which will probably be next week. So, bye everyone. Thanks for joining me again. See ya.